Soccer League Training Center in Coverciano, Florence. Here, many training sessions have taken place in order to get the Italian national soccer team ready for the qualifying phase of the World Cup of 1994 and for the final phase in the United States of America. From the rooms of the center, under the images of an unforgotten and glorious past, reminding us of today's heavy responsibility to defend a deserved prestige, the chairman of the technical sector of the Italian Soccer League, Mr. Raffaele Ranucci, presents and backs the contents of this video cassette about the exercises carried out by the Italian team in order to acquire the strategies, the tactical solutions, and the mentality required by the coach. This cassette intends to be a contribution to the spread of the soccer philosophy of the coach of the Italian national soccer team, Mr. Arrigo Sacchi. You will be able to see the training sessions of our national team and the principles of the zone or positional play, explained directly by Mr. Sacchi to his players. We wish you well, hoping this product will be helpful to all of you to extend your knowledge in the field of soccer technique. Arrigo Sacchi is not just a selector, but a real coach committed to convey to his group of players the contents of his tested and winning soccer philosophy. This accounts for the considerable commitment he has required from his players during the training sessions, which sometimes lasted many days. Upsetting a tradition which saw our national team devoted to opportunistic play, which often has undermined the spectacle to the advantage of a frustrated utilitarianism, Mr. Sacchi tries to combine the requirements of winning, providing a spectacle. He asserts a way of playing the game as real protagonists and winners, with the ethical intent to introduce also the culture of losing, a just response in case during fair competition the opponents prove to be better. Spirit of initiative, possession of the ball, and continuous search for attack solutions. Zone defensive strategy, with short and tight team arranged according to a 4-4-2 pattern. Extreme dynamism, requiring the movement of all the players, both with and without the ball. Pressure on the opponents, double marking and territorial marking according to schemes that keep the team active and involved even when the ball is in the opponent's possession. These are the fundamental ideas of Sacchi's strategy of play, as we can tell from his words on the training sessions. These exercises have been conceived by my collaborators and me to help our players to get those ideas so dear to us and which we consider important in today's soccer. Therefore, starting from the belief that the possession of the ball and not the holding of it, pressure and speed are highly spectacular and effective components to reach a positive score, we try to submit such situations to our players so that they can easily assimilate and store them to be able to transfer them onto the field without any problems. So, almost all the exercises that you will see are related to pressure, the possession of the ball, breakaways, and movements without the ball.
Facilmente e che vengano da loro immagazzinate e poi riportate in campo senza alcuna problematica. Quindi quasi tutte le esercitazioni che voi vedrete sono esercitazioni relative al pressing, al possesso palla, ai tempi di sganciamento, ai tempi di movimento, al movimento senza palla. Mentre in fase difensiva
While in the defensive phase there will be some situations of pressure, of double marking, of offside, of defensive flexibility, of diagonal arrangements, of territorial marking, of man-to-man marking, of group marking. In the attack phase there will be situations of cut-ins, of overlapping, of crisscrossing, of movements without the ball, of breakaways, all possibly at the right time, as I am never tired of saying. In order to acquire these skills and to acquire these ideas, repetitiveness is fundamental, as well as clearness and capability of the trainer to correct those players not moving in a coordinated way with the others. Therefore, the idea of a short team, the idea of a tight team, the idea of an aggressive team are repeated continuously to make them become a natural skill of the player. I hope these exercises will help you to get satisfaction with your teams and your clubs. I wish you all success and good luck to everybody. We are now going to introduce some of the most meaningful exercises conceived by Mr. Sacchi and his collaborators, Carlo Ancelotti and Pietro Carmignani, to get the players of the national team used to the basic ideas of the adopted strategy of play. Technical tactical exercise aimed at pressure and counter-pressure. This exercise is carried out to get the players used to applying pressure and counter-pressure in the midfield. The playing field is divided into 3 zones, with a central zone common to both teams and filled with players competing for the possession of the ball. One team can play in its own defensive zone without being countered. It tries to pass the opponents who apply pressure in the central zone, and once it reaches the forward zone, it may not be countered anymore. The players may enter the opposing defensive zone or forward zone by keeping the ball through very quick exchanges, dribbling or overlapping, but not through long passes. Once beyond the dividing line, players can shoot at goal without being tackled anymore, but they should do that in the shortest possible time. The game is not restricted to a fixed number of maximum touches allowed, but players should always keep in mind the necessity to quicken the play as much as possible in order to take the opponents by surprise. In this example, we can see the yellow team turning the ball and successfully trying to pass the blockade carried out by the red team. Finally, they find the winning action through an exchange Baresi-Roberto Baggio, with Simone cutting in and entering the opposing defensive zone to shoot at goal undisturbed. In this other example, the pressure applied by the yellow team is successful at first, but the red team regains possession of the ball and tries to start a new attack. After switching the direction of the play, and thanks to a series of quick triangulations, the red team finds the winning strike with an exchange Dino Baggio-Mancini. Technical tactical exercise aimed at looking for attack schemes, avoiding the opponent's pressure. This exercise is to be carried out using the whole field by a team of 11 players against one of 7 plus the goalkeeper. Its aim is to be able to plan attack schemes even under constant pressure by the opponents. It is compulsory for the 7 reserve players to pressurize the 11 players of the official team, even beyond reason, to train them to find attack solutions by constantly freeing themselves from the marking player. The opponent's inferiority in numbers guarantees the certainty of free players to the official team and is useful to get the player leading the action used to looking for continuous switches in the direction of the play. The view of the play, the decision-making quickness, and the rapidity of passes are the elements which lead to success. In this example, we can see the official full team carry out quick exchanges in its own defensive zone and then take the white team by surprise with a sudden action in depth that takes Lentini to shoot at goal. Technical tactical exercise aimed at regaining possession of the ball through defensive pressure in conditions of inferiority in numbers. The exercise uses the whole field. It aims at regaining possession of the ball through defensive pressure in conditions of inferiority in numbers. The yellow team's 4 backs and 4 midfielders defend themselves from the attack of the 11 reserve players of the red team. In this first example, we can see how the yellow team defends itself by keeping short and tight. In this other example, we can notice the 4 midfielders looking for a short and diagonal line, with the last player forming an angle to the line of the other 3. Here we can see Mr. Sacchi suggest the exact position to the farthest player from the ball. This image allows us to visualize the correct arrangement of the 4 backs and of the 4 midfielders, and draws attention to how tight and short the team must be arranged to defend itself from an attack from the side. In this other case, attention is drawn to the defensive strategy that requires the 4 backs to move forward along the same line to leave the opponents offside. Specific exercises are carried out to get the back players used to placing themselves correctly according to the position of the ball and to choosing the right time to move forward and leave the opponents offside. These exercises stimulate the search for coordination in the movements of the 4 backs. The correct interpretation of the intention of the opponent with the ball is a fundamental factor to decide the kind of movement to make. This last exercise gets the backs used to sprinting immediately forward along the same line as soon as the ball is released. Let's go back to the exercise on the whole field to watch the movements of the 8 players of the yellow team defending themselves from the attack of the 10 players of the red one. In this example, we can see how the 4 midfielders of the yellow team attack the ball, passed between the players of the red team. We can see how they take well-coordinated positions and alternately apply pressure according to the position of the opponent with the ball, arranging themselves according to the position of their teammates. Specific exercises are carried out to also get the midfielders used to staying compact and moving coherently. With these exercises, the main principle is that for any player in the zone where he belongs, the opponent to counter is the one with the ball. Let's go back again to the exercise using the whole field to watch how 2 or 3 players apply pressure on the opponent with the ball, while their teammates mark territorially, tightening the spaces close to the action. The double marking must always be performed, above all near or in the penalty area, whenever the opponent shows uncertainty or delays in getting rid of the ball. Technical tactical exercise aimed at keeping the team short and tight when attacking the ball in the opponent's possession. This exercise concerns the defensive strategy of the whole team. The action takes place using the whole field with 6 colored flags placed accordingly to represent the position of the ball in the opponent's possession. When the trainer calls a color, the team must attack that position while respecting patterns and distances so as to form a single block. In this example, the national team has attacked the red flag and is about to arrange itself in respect of another color. In this particular case, almost any role is represented by a couple, official player and his substitute. In this example, we can see how the team must arrange itself in respect of the red flag. Player number 7 can, if necessary, double the marking of the opponent with the ball, represented by the red flag. In this other picture, the team is correctly placed in respect of the black flag. Besides the position of the back and midfield lines, which have already been dealt with, it is important to notice the position of the forwards. Player number 10 closes down the eventual back pass, while number 9 closes down the eventual center pass. Here we can see the team arranged in respect of the white flag. And finally, here is how the team must arrange itself in respect of the yellow flag. In this case, double marking is recommended. The exercise may be performed slowly for instructional aims, or by fits and starts to acquire specific skills. Also in this example, carried out at a very slow pace, the team is still arranged with every role represented by a couple. Trainer Carmignani calls one color and the team arranges itself in respect of the related flag as if in that position there were the opponents with the ball. In the zone play strategy, in fact, each player must take into account the position of the ball and of his teammates, not the one of a particular opponent. The goalkeeper too must follow the action and take a position enabling him to anticipate the opposing forwards in case of long passes for which the offside trap has not worked. This exercise can be profitably preceded by many repetitions of an exercise of movement of the whole team, starting from a very short and tight 4-4-2 pattern basic defensive arrangement, which widens and moves forward according to a pattern ready to attack. From the teaching point of view, it is useful to place on the ground suitable signs for each position to take up. picture allows a better visualization of this kind of movement, which helps the players to have confidence in the tactical interpretation of the zone play. This is the basic defensive arrangement, and this is the widened arrangement ready to attack. Attack scheme, technical tactical exercise. Attack schemes characterized by swift movements, very quick passes in triangulation, crisscrossing of the forwards, and shots at goal are tried in parallel to the defensive exercises. Here, the midfielders crisscross, and the forward acts like a wall, favoring the cut-in and the shot at goal of a teammate. In this case, we can see a triangulation between the midfielders, the forwards crisscrossing, and the quick exchange that allows a shot at goal. Optionally, one opposing back may be placed in the defending area in order to counter the attack of the two forwards. Here, after a triangulation on the right side, the two forwards crisscross and the hard cross pass finds the winning touch. In these exercises, particular care should be given to the rapidity of the execution and to the dynamism of the players involved in the action. It is very useful also to make the team carry out very quick actions using the whole field without the opponents, to make the players assimilate and perfect the attack plans as automatic. This last action is a perfect example of the search for quickness, rapidity of exchanges, and movement without the ball of all the players involved. Technical tactical exercise aimed at overlapping on the sides and attacks through cross passes. This exercise is meant to get the players used to using the sides overlapping a teammate. The game is 11 against 11 on an 80 times 40 meter field plus 10 meter wide side corridors. No more than 3 touches of the ball are allowed. The forward action is valid if an overlapping takes place on the side where the defending team must be inferior in numbers. In this exercise, in fact, the defending team can counter the action on the side with only one player. The player who performs the overlapping can either cross pass or choose any other options of play. As a variation, it may be allowed or not to stay on the side without the ball. Technical tactical exercise aimed at switching the play. This exercise gets the players used to switching the direction of the play quickly. 2 teams made up of 9 players each, play on a 40 times 40 meter field with 10 small goals, that is, one more than the number of players, so as always to have at least one goal free. The goal is valid only if the ball, after passing through one goal, is touched by a teammate. One team has the ball and tries to take the attack towards the least protected goal, switching the direction of the play continuously. No more than 3 touches are allowed, and, optionally, players can be required to keep the ball on the ground. In this action, we can see the yellow team score a point as the ball, after going through the goal, is touched by a teammate. One more goal for the yellow team. This exercise requires vision, decision-making quickness, mental suppleness, and it is extremely useful to sharpen these qualities through training. Finally, thanks to a quick switching of the play, also the red team scores a point after finding an undefended goal in a sector of the field not protected by the opponents. Technical tactical exercise aimed at overcoming the opponent's ultra-aggressive pressure. This exercise gets the players used to overcoming the opponent's pressure in their own half of the field. The official team's goalkeeper, 4 backs and 4 midfielders must make the ball get to, or take it to, the neutral zone through 1-2 exchanges or overlapping. No more than 2 touches are allowed. One team, made up of 8 players, acts as reserve team and can only intercept the ball. Then, the action can be started again only by the official team's goalkeeper. No official player is allowed to stay in the neutral zone. He is to get to it, crossing the midfield. The official players score a point whenever they reach the neutral zone or whenever they carry out 10 consecutive passes. This makes the reserve team apply a constant pressure. The reserve players score a point whenever they intercept the ball. In this first example, the red team of the official players carries out more than 10 consecutive passes and so scores a point. Here, after an exchange by Yuka Costacurta-Maldini, the yellow team intercepts the ball and so it scores a point too. Here, the official team is successful since one of its players gets a freeing pass in the neutral zone. Finally, the official team scores one more point thanks to 10 consecutive passes. Technical tactical exercise in the defensive phase of the 2 forwards. This exercise gets the forwards used to sacrificing themselves in a careful job of covering the action started by the opposing defense. 2 forwards counter 3 opposing backs in a 30-meter times 15-meter rectangle placed in the center of one half of the field. The game is not restricted to a fixed number of maximum touches. The aim is to train the forwards to intercept the ball and to shoot at goal, or at least to make the backs start the action along the sides. The forwards score a point when they intercept the ball and score into the free goal. The backs score a point when, keeping the ball or by dribbling, they pass the end line of the rectangle. Action outside the side limits is not considered valid. In this example, the forwards intercept the ball, but they do not score. In this other action, after intercepting the ball, the two forwards score a goal. In this case, the yellow team's backs are successful as they take the ball beyond the end line of the rectangle of play. Technical tactical exercise aimed at the freeing pass, involvement and the shot at goal. The exercise gets the midfielders and the backs used to looking for a very quick and freeing pass, finding the right time for the movement and for the shot at goal. The game is on a 40-meter times 20-meter field divided into two identical sectors. Two midfielders and one back play in the outer square. In the square close to the goal, two forwards compete with two backs and the goalkeeper. In the outer square, the game is at one touch, and the two midfielders must serve the forwards without getting beyond their boundary line. For the two forwards playing on the other square, the game is not restricted. They must try to get quickly to shoot at goal, timing their movements and choosing when to free themselves from the marking player. In this example, the red team's backs successfully drive back an attack and mark the forwards effectively. The action ends with an inaccurate pass. In this case too, the backs intercept the forward's attempt at triangulation. Here, one forward is served in a useful corridor which allows him to shoot, but the goalkeeper saves. In this action, the forwards find the time and the coordination in the movements to carry out a winning exchange, but the shot at goal is off target. As an alternative, the exercise may be carried out on a narrower field, with competition between one forward and one back. The theme is the same: to find the right time to sprint, to pass the ball, and to shoot at goal. We have shown you some of the most meaningful exercises carried out by the Italian national soccer team in the pre-World Cup period, 1992-1994. Other exercises have also been carried out, and many more will be conceived by trainers to exemplify conceptions, to make movements become automatic, to form a group mentality, keeping in mind the fact that the capability to interpret the matches according to the ever-different situations and to the opponent's peculiar characteristics are supreme virtues in an ever-progressing sport like soccer. Generosity and cleverness, aggressiveness and fairness, motivation and awareness, these are the qualities that allow the necessary tactical discipline and which the exercises must point out and perfect. If along with these team qualities also the individual technical talent of each player manages to express itself, together with that touch of irrational inventiveness which can make the athletic performance unforeseeable and effective, then the results cannot be but positive, and the spectacle cannot be but excellent. The fans of the most beautiful, most followed, and most rewarded sport in the world demand it and deserve it. Thanks to specific software and techniques in the foreground, Promos Computer Division has implemented a quick and handy application of a series of 2 or more photocells to be used in the preparation of the most complex tests. Today, it becomes extremely easy for the athletic trainer to reach the training ground with 2 small cases where the photocells with all the accessories and the portable battery-operated computer are respectively located. If there are no feeding or loading problems, any computer will be compatible with the system. Freed from the long and heavy connecting cables and from the reflectors sending back the beams of light, the new photocells communicate directly in radio frequency with the computer in MS-DOS environment. A few minutes and no particular specific knowledge are required to assemble the kit comprising the photocells, the tripods, and the cell-computer interface. Speed or endurance tests may be performed on various distances and according to programmable modes. It is possible to execute today's most familiar standard tests along with others specifically conceived by the trainer. After placing the cells at the desired distance, the tests can start. Thanks to a simple order, data flow directly into the computer. A subsequent data processing can permit the compilation of graphs and histograms, easy and immediate to read, and evidence to that scientific objectiveness which must always accompany modern training systems. Promos Computer Division designs and produces software equipment for tests in sport, placing itself at the disposal of dedicated and far-sighted trainers in order to improve the performances of the athletes.